Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our reading from the new book, Blackfire, Volume 1, edited by Kim McMillon and Dr. Kim McMillon, and featuring a host of illustrious writers from the past and present in this important collection, continuing in the tradition of the Black arts movement. Before we get started, I have a few announcements so we can get to the more than a dozen pieces you're going to hear today. We are broadcasting from the area now known as San Francisco, which is on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the original peoples of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place. We recognize that we benefit from living, working, and learning on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. Today's event is part of Summer Stride, which is our annual reading and activity program. Read or participate in an activity for 20 hours and earn a Read tote bag designed by this year's artist, Minnie Fan. You can sign up online for the program at sfpl.org, where you'll also find a list of a ton of other activities that we're hosting through the summer, or visit one of our 28 locations where youth can pick up a free book, and where at the end of the program, each location will be giving out a special prize. So please visit a location to join the raffle. Every 2 months, we host a program called On the Same Page, and July and August selection is by Beverly Jenkins, Wild Rain. So please join our program, start reading the book. It's available at all of our locations, and join the book club in August and a conversation with the author also in August. So just as a reminder that all of our libraries are open, even though we're still going through this pandemic. Come to the library tomorrow at the main library in the Coretta Auditorium to hear Nathan Worth talk about nature photography as part of our theme for this month of the programs, which is environment and climate change. Also welcome authors from Nomadic Press, which will be next Sunday, the July 24th, where readers will also read about the environment, and a host of new authors will be with us in August to talk about our next theme, which will be food. On Tuesday, hear from author Dr. Jennifer Atkinson, who will talk about the emotional toll of a warming world later this month after the Nomadic Press reading. And in August, when we celebrate food for our theme for summer reading, join us for a program on women of the Black Panther Party, and their fight for freedom with author Suzanne Copia in conversation. I'm going to stop sharing before I introduce our host for the day, Dr. Kim McMillon. And before I read her formal bio, I want to give much gratitude and thank you to Dr. McMillon, who has connected us, the library, and its patrons through collaborations with my colleague, John Smalley, on a host of illustrious writers that we welcome to the library and to our online platform. And, we really can't thank you enough, Dr. McMillon. So today we are so pleased to, share your work again by hosting these readings from your new book edited by Dr. McMillon called Blackfire This Time, which continues the legacy of the Black arts movement, promoting art for Black people's sake and providing a forum through the anthology to highlight the history of the movement and its writers, both past and present. One of the great joys of reading this book is not only the poetry, essays, plays, and writing, but reading the biographies of all the writers that contributed to this anthology and where we can see the movement truly continuing. So thanks again, Dr. McMillon. I'm going to go through your formal bio now before I let you take the stage. So Dr. Kim McMillon moderates a reading and public discussion with poets and writers from Blackfire This Time, Volume 1, a powerful new anthology that explores the history and legacy of the Black arts movement. While Blackfire This Time features the work of over 100 poets and writers, the majority of this program's readers hail from the San Francisco Bay Area, and we're So pleased to have you all with us today. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Kim McMillon.
Hi. Before we start, is there some type of echo? Are we okay?
You're good.
Okay, great. Well, I wanted to give thanks to the library. Without, this incredible Anissa, Shauna, John, you all have been like literary angels to us. And we're very, very thankful for that. And I also wanted to say that this book could not have happened without the brilliance of so many caring mentors and voices that were so much a part of the Black arts movement, from Ishmael Reed to Nikki Giovanni to Gwendolyn Brooks's daughter, Nora Blakely, to just all these voices that came out and said, what can we do to help? And how can we make this work for you? And so there's just so much gratitude, because if it were not for those voices, we wouldn't be here. And so I'm very grateful to all of you. The first person I really want to thank right now is Heather Buchanan. Heather Buchanan had a lot of faith in this anthology and put herself forward as our publisher in a way that was very inspirational. And I wanted this program to start off with a few words from the publisher, because as much as it is my baby, it is definitely her child. This is a child that gets passed around a lot. I'd like you all to give a very warm welcome to our publisher, Heather Buchanan. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Oh, Kim, that was such a beautiful, sweet message. Thank you so very much. And how are you all today? It's such a pleasure to meet many of you for the first time. Beautiful, beautiful faces, all of you. I'm so very proud of the opportunity and the collection. And I consider this one of the high points of my career. And I'm just consider it a blessing to have had anything to do with this gathering of over 100 poets and writers, many of them award-winning, many of them laureates in their home states. And they hail from across, even people in Africa, and Kim will be able to tell you more about that, and the Caribbean. And it's just been just a beautiful experience, and it was a timely experience. When she came along, we knew that this was the right time to do something like this, and it's just proven itself to be beautiful more and more every day. And I want to thank the library. This is one of our first big events, because we have so many of the planning and creative team here with us today, the editors and the Dr. Margot Natalie Crawford, who wrote the introduction. She was so gracious. She wrote a beautiful introduction that tied everything together. She really did. And you'll get to see that in the introduction. And of course, Ishmael Reed, who's given this project his blessing and has said so many beautiful things and brought the past into the present and made the connections for people like me, second and third generations after the Black Arts Movement. So we're living, the legacy of the hard work of brave, brave people. And it's such a beautiful honor to be here with you today. So thank you. You're going to truly enjoy today's reading.
Thank you, Heather. Our first author is Ishmael Reed. I think I've known Ishmael at least 30 years. And in that time, I've seen incredible, not just the outpouring of work, but the support he gives to authors who are making it, and then they become huge. And you'll find people like Joy Harjo and so many other authors that really were helped by Ishmael, including Terry McMillon, just so many, because there is this part of him that is very expansive, particularly in helping others. He's the MacArthur Genius Award winner, and he also has a wonderful magazine that's online titled Conch. I'd like you to give a very warm welcome to Ishmael Reed. And before I do that, I wanted to say the reason why I asked Ishmael to do the foreword, because he was there on the ground zero with so many of the people that were in the beginning stages of the Black arts movement. And a lot of people don't know the contributions that he made, including to Umbra and to magazines that carried important voices like Al Young's. So please give a very warm welcome to Ishmael Reed. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think this is a very important anthology because it sort of synthesizes all the stuff that occurred before in the past. And going back to Elaine Locke's The New Negro and that shipping heiress, I forgot her name, she did Harlem, and a number of other anthologies. I think this is a culmination. I think a lot of people marked the Black arts movement as dead for decades. And now there's a revival. And I think it's very important that we give some recognition to the people who were the pioneers, because they're often not mentioned. And some of the people who were not included in Black arts are sort of like included thanks to scholars who weren't there and who just sort of like go by the mistakes of other scholars. If you've been on the periphery of academia as I have, you see there's a lot of duplication. You know, so that's why mistakes occur. I was on a panel with a guy who was a know-it-all all about Lorenzo Thomas, and he's pretended to be a scholar on Lorenzo Thomas. I knew Lorenzo Thomas from the beginning of the 1960s until his brother called me when he was on his deathbed, and I published Lorenzo Thomas, a book called The Bathers. But this guy pretended he knew more than I knew, one of these know-it-all nicks. I call them know-it-all nicks. So anyway, Black arts came out of Umbra, and you can trace it to Umbra magazine. And Amiri Baraka, who came later to Black nationalism, acknowledges that this was the source of the Black arts movement in New York. So in Umbra, you had N.H. Pritchard, who's now made a huge comeback. N.H. Pritchard died young. He was doing rap and sound poetry in the 60s. And now he's being praised by people like Charles Bernstein, who's the head of the language school movement. N.H. Pritchard was a concrete poet and a sound poet and was a member of Umbra magazine. Lorenzo Thomas was a member. Tom Dent and Calvin Herndon founded Umbra magazine. And if you want to read about Tom Dent, there's a Kalamu Psalm edited an anthology called The Tom Dent Reader. So Tom Dent was on the ground floor, and Calvin Herndon. They began Umbra. Tom Dent was from New Orleans, and Calvin Herndon was from Chattanooga, my hometown. So these are the people who started this workshop down in Lower East Side. So Tom Dent was connected to the NAACP and the Black aristocracy. His father was the president of Dillard University. And so we had meetings where Charlene Hunter, Meredith, James Meredith, and all these people would attend our workshops. I look over there, and Martin Luther King's brother came to our workshops on the Lower East Side. So he was able to raise a lot of attention to Umbra, and we all dispersed. He left and went back to New Orleans, and he was one of those who were instrumental in the development of the Southern Free Theater. Then there was David Henderson, who came from uptown, and he was one of those who followed. He knew Langston Hughes. He introduced me to Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was responsible for my first novel being published. So he followed in the footsteps of Langston Hughes, where he got his inspiration from popular culture. So his classic poem is "Keep On Pushing," which I think was a Motown hit. And then there was Calvin Herndon, who was a major poet. I published a couple of his books, Medicine Man and the Red Crap Gang, before he died. And he went to Oberlin, where he was a professor there, but he was also a poet. So the two people who are rarely mentioned in Umbra are Charles Patterson and William Patterson. If you want to read about those two read Amiri's autobiography will tell you a lot about black arts. That's one of the major texts for black arts is his Leroy Jones, Amiri Baraka. And we're actually roommates at one time. Charles, William, Asciatore, we were all roommates. I sort of like left the apartment, got my own apartment. And next thing I know, they were uptown with Amiri doing the Black Arts Repertory Theater. So they're the pioneers, but they're rarely mentioned. I think I'm one of the few people who published Charles Patterson in a anthology called 19 Necromancers from Now, which I published in Doubleday published in 1969. And so if you want to read about that black arts history from then on, it's all in Amiri's book. I mean, he was an eyewitness, and so was the FBI. If you go to William Maxwell's FBI's, EYES, they have the FBI surveillance of the black arts movement from the fundraising time. I participated in 2 fundraising events for black arts until they were out of business. So if you go there to William Maxwell, if you Google him, and they also have John O'Killens and some other people that the FBI followed, but they paid a lot of attention to black arts. They infiltrated black arts, and so they talk about the fundraising all the way down to its demise, where FBI agent says nobody's here, they're all gone. Okay, so that shows you that. Matter of fact, William Maxwell says that at one time the FBI were the only ones reading black literature. And they even wrote black poetry. I got my suspicions about one of these journals, black poetry. I think one of these black poetry publications, I think it's probably FBI. But anyway, they published black poetry and they published black. So I like to find out what those were. But I think I pretty much know. So anyway, okay, black arts did 2 things. It ended imitation. And I know everybody likes James Baldwin because he's a big time celebrity and had a lot of connections. He's great on TV. And I said in a recent essay that interview that there are more James Baldwin imitators on TV than Elvis Presley imitators in Las Vegas. But he was an actor. His last novel, one of the great novel, Tell Me How Long the Train's Been Gone, is like about an actor. But he's very much indebted to William James. So much that William James, Henry James, excuse me, I get them all mixed up. Henry James, that Henry James' son sent him a photo. And Ellison, of course, talks about being indebted to Ernest Hemingway, who has a poem called Nigger Rich. And in his short stories, N-words used very often. So I mean, that tells you about the kind of people they lionize in American literature. But anyway, so Larry Neal, in his great manifesto in Black Fire, says that they're going to go to the streets, and going back to the toasts and the poetry of populism, like Shine Swam On and that kind of stuff, which is the ancestors of the hip hop. People say hip hop began 30 years ago in the Bronx or somewhere. No, it comes out of 20th century, early 20th century. The gangster underground rhymed couplets, kind of raps, Shine Swam On. So that's a very important manifesto. Now, the problem with, I think, and I'll end shortly, the problem with Black Fire is that it excluded women because the idea of writing at that time was that it was something that men did. And then the feminist movement comes along and women started buying books by people who look like themselves. And that put people like Norman Mailer out of business. Matter of fact, they did him in, so he ended up being a research assistant in his old age. But they put him out of business. And so people started reading. So then there was a 1970s, Intozaki Shange. Al Young and I published her the first excerpt of Color Girls back in 1974. And to my everlasting shame, I made her use conventional punctuation. But anyway, and we were friends until her death. As a matter of fact, I mean, we're on the phone every week until she died. But anyway, Ntozake Shange and Tony K. Bambara, whom I knew in New York, and a lot of other writers came on the scene. And then, after that, each group had their, their moment in the spotlight. So then you had the LGBTQ plus. And I think the importance of this anthology is that it brings it all together, a summation. So there are no, what do you call it? Gender splits, anything? Gender splits come from the outside. I'm doing a play about that includes Indian culture, and it was Englishmen who defined Indian genders, defined the role of Indian women, and they do the same thing here. These people, we talk about the model minority, that was invented by white men to cause problems. William Schneider and others, or article in Newsweek about the Chinese Americans out-whiting the whites. I mean, that came from the outside. Toni Morrison said a lot of the friction that gender splits in our community come from the outside. Toni Morrison said that. So this brings it all together. And I think that's the important achievement. And it also has brought up, has also brought up a reevaluation of the Black arts movement, which has been shunned because unlike the Harlem Renaissance, and I like the Harlem Renaissance, Claude McKay and all of them, all they're pretty formal. I mean, their diction is really, very like British English. Black Friday, and they broke all that. But I think that Black arts is more subversive, independent, and not dependent upon, the Western canon. I mean, people started writing in African languages. They started writing in Arabic. They changed their names. And so the establishment sort of ignores Black arts. And so I'm glad that this anthology brings it up again. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Ishmael. I wanted to say I really appreciate you, because one of the things you did in your forward and you're doing now is you bringing you're able to contextualize. You're able to show us where things fit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important, because when we study what I consider our history through the Black arts movement, we really have to look at our history. We have to go back further and put it all together to really find that history out. And so thank you. Thank you, Ishmael. Our next poet is just wonderful. She is, I believe she's a third poet of Poet Laureate of San Francisco, and just a wonderful, wonderful poet. And not many people know this, but her godfather was actually James Baldwin, and one of the major figures in her life, and including a lot of our lives. She's also has an incredible poetry collection called Califia's Daughter. That's just amazing. And please pick it up. I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Devorah Major.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. And let me say before I start my little thing that my first major publication of a poem was in Ishmael's Wybird. That when I go, when you were saying that, introducing him, I was like, oh, that's right. My first poem that wasn't in a little newspaper, was from Ishmael too. So I'm going to read my poems from the anthology, as well as one by a poet from somewhere else, because the anthology is so rich. Down presses. Woe to the down presses, they eat the bread of sorrow. That's a well-known Bob Marley song. You walked on our bones for centuries, turned them to sand, poured into sand boxes for your children to build sand castles. And when the sand became translucent, filled with the sunlight burning your eyes, you found more to sacrifice, sent vultures to strip away our skins, and built ladders formed from our ribs, limbs, and skulls, on which you climbed to get a better view of the land you planned to conquer. And now we rise, joined by some of your children and grandchildren who have eaten of shame and refused to travel on the rails you laid with our bones. And each of you who blocks our path or tries to press us back will be blinded by our brilliance, blinded by our brilliance. This next poem, City Values, is out of San Francisco, but true. Things like this have happened in so many of America's cities. City Values for Kenneth Harding. $2 in the city of San Francisco is not quite enough for a Sunday newspaper, but you could get a liter of generic soda pop and have a bit of change, and maybe 2 large organic apples or a medium order of fast food fries, 1 tin of quality black shoe polish, or 1 condom from a club vending machine, or 1 thigh with a side at Church's Chicken. Or the life of 1 cocoa-skinned, 19-year-old roughly trying to become a man, who, for want of a $2 bus transfer, was shot in the back of the head. And this, because so much time is, because it needs to be, is spent writing about the difficulties that of survival and surmounting in these times. This is called Writing Love. All I want to write are love poems in this season of rotting flesh and hollow bellies, in this year of hidden corpses and shrapnel graveyards. All I want to write are love poems to the one whose breath will mix with mine, for the lips I taste, for the hips I encircle, for the sap I share. All I want to write are love poems about shining eyes and sweat's perfumes, about promises made and kept, about secrets and fears shared and revealed. In this year of the buried city, this decade of the hunger crop, this century newly begun yet already with thousands upon thousands of limbs torn off, eyes burnt out, hearts eviscerated. All I want to write are love poems. I don't want this job of recording the children's despair, the mother's grieving, the father's misery, the son's brutalization, the planet's storms and fires. It's all too much for me. My eyes fill with salt and become blurred, and only love poems will make it better, will clear the way. But all around me, these others who I love, in knowing and as strangers, are being murdered or enslaved, starved or tortured, imprisoned or forsaken, and the poems I want to write evade me until I am left with nothing but this howl wedged between my teeth. All I want to write are love poems about blue kissing my morning, lemons tart and fresh flavoring my afternoons, crescent moons arching away from Venus's sparkle in a star-hungry sky. All I want to write are love poems. All I want to write is love. And I'm going to do these haiku by Leonard D. Moore. Leonard is just an incredible master of haiku and has in fact been honored by the Japanese Haiku Society for his work. And so these are 8 haiku for Amiri Baraka. First month of the year, you transform into transbluency. Winter recliner, you bend language across borders. Snow-glazed night, your words flare off the page. All the voices rising from Yuan, the heater hums. Close reading, I recall your voice amid the chill. Falling temperature, a student's research paper on your riffs. Frigid shadows, black pupil stare from home. The cold deepens. The Conjuring of Blues People. And I'm going to end with Leonard D. Moore's haiku sequence for Sonia Sanchez, because those are 2 of Baraka and Sanchez, of course, are 2 of the original from the Black Arts movement and Black Fire. Your whole notes wake the dormant trees, the wind's breath. Drums thump pulsing of the heart song, the opening sky. Jazz and haiku shake loose my skin, a dusting of pollen. Insistent running of the long river, your a cappella. My black hands cupping the sunlight jacuzzi bubbles. Orange lilies bow your noontime strut up the sidewalk. Rain long gone, I recite syllables of your language. Evening walk, I catch your riff in my voice. Thank you.
Utterly beautiful. Just utterly beautiful. Thank you. You know, I want to give a little gems that are in this anthology. And there's just one line, Ishmael wrote it. I thought it was very important. Black Fire was a book in which Black men were gods and the supreme deities were Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey. And I'm saying that because we wouldn't be here if Black Fire hadn't been written. And so I want to make sure that we give to the ancestors, people like Larry Neal and Amiri Baraka and so many others that Ishmael mentioned and others will mention that made a difference for us. And of devorah, just keep on writing. Just keep on writing. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Our next poet is just a wonderful man. I've known him about 35 years at least. His name is Raymond Nat Turner. And Raymond is considered the town crier and is the artistic director of the jazz poetry ensemble Upsurge in New York City. And he's a poet in residence at Black Agenda Report. Raymond, what I love about Raymond is I almost can guarantee you that every day he writes a poem. And those poems are about the things he learned, about standing up for the rights of people, to the oppressed. And it's in his very bones, this need to do that. I'd love you all to give a warm welcome to Raymond Nat Turner.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Kim McMillon. I'm so proud of you. I've known you, as you said. I've known Karla Brundage, and Heather is a new acquaintance. I want to thank her for the work she's done. And of course, the San Francisco Public Library, Ishmael Reed, and D Major, and it goes on and on. But I'm going to try and jump in. I have two pieces. I'm going to try and see if I can move through them. The first is, they're both in the anthology. The first is called Essential Work. You know, during the pandemic, there was a lot of talk about essential workers. Who is an essential worker? Who wasn't an essential worker? And honoring essential workers. And so let's see if we can handle that. Essential work. We'll always need race car drivers roaring down streets where children chase balls. Like we'll always need peaceful protesters pepper sprayed like cockroaches. And we'll always need sleeping 7-year-olds shot while dreaming of dolls, sleepovers, tooth fairies. We'll always need children playing with toy guns in parks, executed before becoming Hulk Hogan's. We'll always need doors kicked in and our daughters and sons slaughtered in wee hours, even if it is the wrong address. We'll always need elderly parents whacked for accidentally pressing emergency alerts. Like we'll always need mentally ill loved ones massacred in our homes. We'll always need men rushing pregnant wives to hospitals shot for speeding, and fathers of 6 hustling too hard, chokehold lynched. We'll always need young women who drive and smoke, stopped and suicided, and mothers wearing masks wrong, wrestled down in subway stations as their 4-year-olds watch. We'll always need wallets mistaken for guns, Glocks for tasers, fleeing Black men shot in their backs, and bridegrooms butchered before their weddings. We'll always need tasered hard skanking and reggae rhythms and broken broomsticks rammed up men's rectums for fun. We'll always need bruised, bloodied, disfigured faces, eyeballs dangling from sockets. We'll always need drugs and guns planted, growing into cases, concertina wire, COVID-19. We'll always need right hooves, raised testifying to judges and juries of our peers on the need for knees, on necks, 56 licks or 41 shots served to protect property. This next piece is called It's Capitalism, Baby. Gravediggers feed hungry Heart Island trenches, plain pine boxes, stacked 3 high. They rest side by side in solidarity. For now, they share island real estate with AIDS and 1918 flu fallen. New York is not new to this. Ask African burial ground ancestors. It's capitalism, baby. 799 died today, tasered with temperatures of 103.5 and shortness of breath. A bus driver, track worker, and a couple of conductors I know on site and speak to came down with chills. They've breathed welding manganese, steel dust, and diesel fumes decades for New Yorkers, yet they couldn't be tested. It's capitalism, baby. What if they'd whispered 3 little words, pleaded 12 times instead of 11 like Eric Garner? As the long, white, tatted arm of the law crushed his windpipe. What if they pleaded, I can't breathe? 12 or even 13 times, would they have been tested, treated, and alive today? That's not MTA's concern. Bottom line, liability, lawsuits are. It's capitalism, baby. Nurses slash garbage bags open, using them as PPE, personal protection equipment. Docs reuse gloves and masks, multiple patients in the world's richest country. It's capitalism, baby. Hand sanitizer was $15 a bottle yesterday, $50 today, if you can find it. Ventilators were $25,000 yesterday, $45,000 today, and climbing. It's capitalism, baby. If water is life, hand sanitizer, hand washing is a lifesaver. Unelected emergency management cut Detroit water off and poisoned penny-wise Flints. Oh, please, it's capitalism, baby. San Francisco hotel rooms sit empty, the unhoused shelter in place below freeways, in overcrowded shelters, and on cold convention center floors. Oh well, it's capitalism, baby. Parasites self-isolate on swanky yachts, toasting tax breaks, looting labor's fruits, sucking up shares, senators, Congress members, and blood. Leeches storm the Hamptons, hoarding greedily, buying meat, frozen foods, filling extra McMansion freezers, while working class shoppers tussle over toilet tissue or stand their ground in long lines buying guns. It's capitalism, baby. Cars sob in food bank lines stamped insufficient funds a mile long, while farmers plow perfect cabbage heads and green beans back into black soil, And ivory rivers swell from dairy farmers dumping millions of gallons of milk in manure pits, and chicken processors smash 750,000 eggs a week for profit omelet obscene food fights. It's capitalism, baby. Return to normal? That Titanic sailed months ago. It does seem, however, that it left the shore capitalism's grave digger.
Wonderful. I just want to let you know, Raymond, that my students love that poem. And one of them actually did it in class. And I wanted to say to her, you have to hear how Raymond says, it's capitalism, baby, because you do it so well. It's a beautiful poem. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you very much. Our next poet, well, I'm not going to say poet, but what I consider Dr. Margot Natalie Crawford is, to me, a viewer and a documenter of the Black arts movement, and a way to deciphering it so that the average person can understand its importance. When I first read Dr. Crawford's work, probably about 10 years ago, and I was looking for females who were writing about the Black arts movement. When I heard or saw what she wrote, I was in heaven. I thought, here is a voice that's saying what needs to be heard and what needs to be spoken about with regard to African-American literature. Dr. Crawford is a professor of English and a director of the Center for Africana Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. She penned the introduction to Black Fire this time, and to me has shown the way for so many people asking for more, wanting to hear different voices with regard to the Black arts movement. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Crawford.
Thank you, Kim McMillon, and thank you, Heather Buchanan. We simply need this book, and I'm so honored to be a part of the jam session today honoring this book. And I want to share just a few parts of the introduction that I wrote. In 1968, Amiri Baraka and Larry Neal edited Black Fire, this groundbreaking anthology of poetry, essays, drama, and short stories propelled the Black arts movement forward. Now in 2022, we have Black Fire this time, and Kim McMillon is the Wanderer's curator. Black Fire this time shows that the Black arts movement never ended. The mix of 1960s and 70s Black arts movement art and more contemporary art honors the flow of the art of the Black Power movement into, through, and around the art of the Black Lives Matter movement. For example, Haki Madabuti's 21st century poem, We Are a Hated People, moves into, through, and around his 1960s and 70s Black arts movement poetry. The end of this 21st century Black Fire this time poem most clearly echoes Black arts movement poetics when Madabuti evokes an inwardness tied to a Black mirror. He writes, quote, "Look in the mirror, say your last name." In Madabuti's classic Black arts poem entitled Gwendolyn Brooks, first published in 1969, the Black Mirror stage produces a collage-like layering of the infinite possibilities and limitations moving within the name Black that gained the force of electricity during the Black arts movement. We feel this electricity when Madabuti, in this poem entitled Gwendolyn Brooks, writes, "Into the 60s, a word was born," and then creates the following collage of Blackness. Black, double black, purple black, blue black, been black, was black, day before yesterday, blacker than ultra black, super black, 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 yellow black, nigger black, black, whitey man, blacker than you ever bees, 1/4 black, unblack, cold black, clear black, my mama's blacker than your mama, pimple black, fall black, so black, we can't even see you on black, in black, by black, technically black, man tan black, winter black, cool black, 360 degrees black, cold black, midnight black, black when it's convenient, Rusty black, moon black, black star black, summer black, electron black, spaceman black. Black is beautiful black. I just discovered black, Negro black, unsubstance black. It is hard to read these words without any pause. The tribute to Gwendolyn Brooks, this tribute to Gwendolyn Brooks, one of the guiding voices of the Black arts movement, demands that the reader experience this part of the poem as a state of trance, an ecstatic process of purging that ends with the liquid blackness signaled by unsubstance black. This anthology, Blackfire This Time, reignites the fire of the Black arts movement. When the original Blackfire was published in 1968, Baraka and Larry Neal framed more than an anthology. They paused as the art of the Black Power movement was unfolding and curated a non-exhibit of the range of voices that were shaping this mid-60s and early 70s movement. They wanted Blackfire to be what James Stewart, in the Blackfire's opening essay, The Development of the Black Revolutionary Artists, describes as, quote, the non-matrixed form, a non-enclosed form. Blackfire This Time continues this practice of anthologizing the type of art that is too open to be contained, too explosive to be the type of book that can be held and read if you are not ready to feel what Gwendolyn Brooks describes as, quote, the dissonant and dangerous crescendo. The dissonant and dangerous crescendo in this anthology is the sound of the Black arts movement that never ended. As this anthology combines BAM poetics and the art created after this movement, we hear the sound of a movement that never ended. Blackfire This Time teaches us how to hear the echoes that never stopped. Blackfire This Time is a remix that continues the groove of the original 1960s and 70s Black Arts Jam session. Baraka and Neal began Blackfire with the following opening note. It is obvious that work by Don Lee, Ron Milner, Alicia Johnson, Carolyn Rogers, Jane Cortez, Joel Lattimore, there were other names listed as well, should be in this collection. The frustration of working through these bullshit white people should be obvious. This anthology continues this unfinished work, this awareness that there is no way to include all of the voices that are a part of Blackfire This Time. Gwendolyn Brooks's poem, To the Diaspora, is one of the many poems in this anthology that teach us how to grasp the power of the unfinished. Gwendolyn Brooks writes, your work that was done, to be done, to be done, to be done. Blackfire This Time embodies this spirit of the revolutionary Black art that was done, was redone, and what still needs to be done.
I love that. It almost makes me cry because we are continually, as a people, redoing, re-healing, re-remembering, and reimagining what Blackness is to us. You know, and there's no point like say, we're going to get it right. You know, we've been on this planet a long time. No, we are just going to get it. We're just going to heal. We're just going to be. And what you wrote really spoke to that. Thank you. Thank you. Our next poet is Carla Brunridge. She's a Bay Area poet. She's an activist, educator, and the founder of the West Oakland to West Africa Poetry Exchange. I've known Carla. We worked together late at night when we were really quite young, putting together, and Carla did most of the work with Wanda Sabir, just a wonderful, wonderful anthology with all the funding going to help the people that were homeless because of Katrina. And that is how Carla is. She gives to the community, and she's well aware of the wonderful gifts she has to bring. I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Karla Brundage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Dr. McMillon, I'm so honored to be here. I guess I want to share, I'm sitting here with Catherine Takara, my mom, and I'm feeling very much like I'm a daughter of I'm going to move over her now. I feel more like I'm a daughter of the Black arts movement. And I don't know, when Ishmael was introducing the book or was giving his talk, I was listening to all the names, and the poem I'm going to read is called Black Arts Movement. And what particularly struck me was my insecurity around this poem, because I know there are mistakes in it. So as a daughter, I've heard mythology my whole life. And the Black Arts Movement wasn't taught in school. And in fact, I went back to Mills to get an MFA just recently. And in one of my classes, someone was like, Black arts, is that a thing? And so this poem was written in response to that. And it's mostly true. I did as much research as I could, but a lot of it is my mythology of the blessings I've had being surrounded by so many amazing poets. So if you hear a mistake, feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Black Arts Movement. To be young, gifted, and Black in 1957 marks the first point of the Black Arts Movement, that's already wrong, on the American timeline, meant using the back door, Brown versus Board of Education, no voting rights, Black Panthers, Kujichagulia, self-determination, Umoja, unity, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, the 10-point plan, free school lunches, taking back our streets from the police, arming ourselves. Black arts is self-love and self-liberation, creation of our own literature, calls to actions, founding of Umbra Poets Workshop, which becomes a magazine by Ishmael Reed, David Henderson, Calvin and Nora Hicks, and other true New Yorkers who move west. Black arts is Barbara Christian chairing African American studies at UC Berkeley, Leroy Jones graduating from a beat poet to the School of Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism, emerging as Amiri Baraka, poet, instigator, novelist, playwright, cultural critic, trickster. The country is in turmoil. Do you integrate? Do we self-separate? Some Black art movements repatriate to Ghana. Who knew why the caged bird sang? Maya Angelou, founder of the Association for Women of African Heritage, member of Harlem Writers Guild. There were other actors, John O'Neill, Tom Dent, founders and co-collaborators of Umbra, of the Free Southern Theater, members of SNCC, who would influence the San Francisco Mime Troupe and would be featured in New Black Voices. Black Arts Movement is Mary Lovelace O'Neill, abstract artist and professor at UC Berkeley, but also in New Orleans with John O'Neill and Tom Dent, working, writing, witnessing with SNCC, CORE, and Free Southern Theater. Adrian Kennedy explored the psyche of the Black woman in Funny House of a Negro. Black arts is poet, intellectual, Eugene Redmond, claiming the most influential schools in the Black arts movement were not New York School, but, were Eugene Redmond claiming that the most influential schools in the Black arts movement were not the New York School, but Merritt College, San Francisco State University, San Francisco, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and the HBCUs. Avacha, Bay Area DJ, musician, poet, producer, and celebrity, starred in Entezaki Shange's For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. QR, poem in one hand, pen in another, bops his jazz rhythms at the elbow room. Pitches words from right to left. James Baldwin said, societies never know it, but the war of an artist with society is a lover's war. The artist does at best what lovers do, which is to reveal the beloved to themselves, and with that revelation, make freedom real. Black is afros like golden halos, uplifted fists. Black is power, is beautiful, is Black arts, is a way to reclaim power, celebrate beauty, discover voice.
I loved it.
Thank you. And I have one more. I'm going to read The Revolution Will Be Televised, with apologies to Gil Scott Heron. The revolution will be televised. Can't you see it's happening right now? Last night was phase 6, shock and awe. Phase 1, destroy the warriors. Define warriors however you want. Every society always has warriors. Our warriors are being taken down one by one. Phase 2, cut out our tongues, change the language, redefine words to have new meanings, liberal, entitlement, news, guilty, impeach, president, real, fake, footprint, cloud. Phase 3, take our religion, give us icons and devices to worship. Bow your head and text, bow your head and text. Replace prayer with phase 4, take our land, displace the people. Phase 5, destroy the family unit, undo the matriarchy. Let the women come together for, no, against, no, for, no, against, no, for the safety of our children, born and unborn, our bodies scarred and trampled. Deharmonize love. Phase 6, shock and awe. Replay violent deaths over and over for analysis. Was he really choking? Could he really breathe? Was she really carrying a phone? Was their skirt too short? Did they ask for it? Was his back really turned? Tell kids it's okay to dance on the heads of their dead opponents. Introduce the extreme right. I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. Ask the extreme left, who's left? The revolution will be televised. Turn off all the lights. Keep them on. Turn them off. Keep them on. Are we running out of water? Are we running out of time? Are we running? Make sure you have a gun. Make sure you have a gun. Lock your doors. Lock them tight. The revolution will be televised tonight.
Wonderful, Carla. I just want to give you something that I was on a radio show with Ethelbert Miller, who's also in the anthology. He mentioned your poem. He mentioned the Umbra and what you've done with this poem. So, kudos to you. We all have our own realities, It's very good. Very good. Thank you. Yeah. Our next poet is Elijah Pringle. He's a Philadelphia poet, musician, composer, actor, and activist. And he's just, it's always wonderful to meet new poets because you just get excited about their work. And when I heard him read and the poem, I'm very excited what he has to offer. I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Elijah Pringle.
I just want to say I'm humbled, nervous, and just thrilled to be here because I've been a poet in the closet for a number of years, and I want to thank this anthology for helping me to burst through. So I'd like to share a poem. Actually, there's 3 I'd like to share. The first one is in the anthology. It was written with my friend Aileen Casanetto, and it's entitled How to Launch an Ad Campaign Using Black Bodies. It starts with an epigraph from Nat King Cole. Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark. Part 1, cigarettes. As I look at the beginning of the American Negro, I know we can brand them with, and make new money. We can reclaim them to tobacco with cigarettes. We've had them planted, weeded, prune it, and till it. Now we manufacture it and force them to consume it. See, psychologically, smoking allows them to escape from their mundane being. We'll retail it sexy cool. Can't get black lungs working cotton fields, so this will do. The lungs of blacks to become cancerous. Part 2, malt liquor. Next, we'll need to plaster malt liquor signs everywhere in the barrios and especially in your schools. If they are abstemious, they'll resist our efforts to placate and pacify them with a 45 bottle. 32 ounces of liquid denial will keep them unbalanced, gifted with a hangover the next day. Don't worry about the taste. It is the buzz, the high, and as a delightful byproduct, we can have the indigenous birth, children of alcohol syndrome. Part 3, soap. We can use them as self-soap. Have their black bodies scrubbed lily white to show how great it is. Our Elias white veneer. See how it covers over black? See, bleaching cream bleaching cream just lighten their burden. Oh, not really, but they'll buy the hoax. Give them the lie of straightening hair, or maybe have them glue their minds shut with number 33 synthetic locks. I swing my head back and forth, Oh, I wish we could get Willow to do the commercial. Part 4, sweaters. It all boils down to media costs. How much will you pay to make something go away? Like this little block of a sweater, like the green hoodie with the coolest monkey, like an ad gone awry. But you need to act quickly. First, own your bad press. Secondly, hashtag, meme, amplify, ROI, return on investment. Lastly, and most importantly, open the red Sylvie. How much will you pay in solidarity? Part 5, postcards. What's better than double page spreads? Collectible postcard, saturate the market with your brand. Come up with a sexy ad can copy, such as pregnant black child and watermelon patch. Oh, it must be something I ate. Or something more domestic, like white women sewing with 6-cord cotton thread, black women laboring in cotton field, saying, wish you were here. Part 6, syrup. We all know that a ready mix by itself wouldn't sell. Any foodie can add hard winter wheat, corn flour, phosphate compounds, and some salt to Aunt Jemima pancake. Give the target markets something antebellum. Let old antiques sing in your kitchen. I was in town, honey. It's all syrup and gravy. Thank you. That was written with Aileen Castanetto. And I like to share 2 poems that I think visually will be easier to understand. The first one is an image. And I saw this photo and this poem came to me. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the image. Okay, and I'll just read the poem now. An old photograph. Her hair is a nest upon her head. It has been the home for many who have abandoned their eggs. Her photo shares her spirit, but not her smile, her name. Who is she to me as her eyes penetrates this now? An old brownie camera long gone leaves a print of her blouse, but not her smile. The image folded has removed her mouth, like her error may have removed her voice. Yet she survives with authority over me, over time, over all. She is the Mona Lisa, and we query, is there a smile in the creases of her sepia portrait? Is there a grin? Maybe there's a smirk that tells us she knows that we will wonder as her concealed, full lips still pours thoughts into our mind, while she magically instills into we gazers a sense of pride, of astonishment, that this generation is guarded by this muse, this angel, this ancestry. The last poem I like to share is actually a form that I've been experimenting with, and it's sort of like a found poem, and I just will, and basically what it is, I know you probably can't see the words, but I just want you to kind of see the visual of it. So it's one poem and the words are blacked out to reveal the truth. And this poem is entitled Bishopville, South Carolina, late summer of '68, part 1. My little brother, my sister, my cousins at twilight would look out of grandma's painted shut 12-pane front window. Gazes glazed by sun-scorched blackened lace curtains that dangle limp and lifeless where they once adorned handsomely. We would stare beyond the half-cropped fields to spy pine, magnolia, birch, sourwood, and up by the pond, weeping willows. Auntie said trees once held our grandfather, and it holds the ever-present sky in place. Trees anchor marshiness to stay still and put. Trees do not let the swamp sneak into the front yard anymore to steal from grandma's garden-colored okra and blood. Prized or brought seed okras, tamed wild roses, and a strange, grotesque, misshapen gnarly fruits, her chicken finch clutching tomatoes, bursting a voluptuous taste. Our heirlooms, like Mina's drapes or tarnished silver forks or unmatched spoons, not beautiful, useful. Grandma would watch as we eagerly eyed to search through the glass at the trees that finger and tickle the heavens. My mother, her sister, their cousins, not uncles, would all sit on the dust-darkened porch with a bushel of greens and with arms akimbo with big bone bodies and chorus would belt out, "Go to bed now!" Met with an arching contralto at Petissimo, "Leave them kids be." I can hear grandma's solo soaring above all. I hear grandma cry now. Part 2. Brother, in twilight, look out front, gaze at life, some pine by the pond weeping. Auntie said, "Hold still, do not let grandma see the strange fruit." Mina would watch heaven, would sit with arms akimbo, aching. Part 3. My, grandma's pain. He limp and lifeless, once handsome. The tree held our grandfather. It holds grandma, prize, a strange fruit, tarnished. Grandma would search the heavens, all dark and big. I can hear grandma cry still. Thank you. And I will stop sharing.
I love those. Thank you so much. Shauna, did you say that the woman was a relative of yours in the picture?
It is. And I am very, very ashamed that I can't tell you her name because I just received that picture maybe a year ago from my mom, who my dad had it all this time. And she's actually my great grandmother from Society Hill, South Carolina. And I'm just now researching more about her. So thank you, Elijah. I mean, I'm like,
well, Shauna, thank you.
I'm blown away, and wow, thank you.
No, Shauna, thank you, because I saw that image and I've been reaching out to everyone saying, where did this image come from? So I've never published that poem because I just felt that I could not until I could find out who this picture belongs to. So thank you. And it's strange you should say that it's she's from South Carolina because that's where my family is from. So maybe we're relatives, but we definitely are kindred heart. So thank you.
You never know what's going to happen at a poetry reading, particularly when there are Black people involved. We couldn't hear you, but thank you, Shauna. Thank you so much. I really want to say that this day and this event is, to me, it just has these little miracles in it, to hear this beautiful poetry and to hear these beautiful voices speaking out. And thank you. Thank you all very much, including the people that take their time to come and listen to us. Thank you. Our next poet is Lakeba Pittman. She's a creative artist, a certified compassion ambassador throughout the Bay Area. She is also professor at Menlo College and the author of breadcrumbs for the soul, finding your way back home. I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Lakeba Pittman. Hi, Lakeba.
Thank you so much, Kim. Oh, I'm just honored to be with you all today. You know, since people were bringing in a little context, I just want to thank Al Young was actually discovered me. I was working in a local bookstore in Palo Alto, and he continued to encourage me in my poetry and my creativity. And so I just want to honor him and thank him today. So I'm going to share a couple of poems that were included and then just one additional. This one is entitled, "We Come to Heal the World." I call myself queen of the universe, of the sky, as I fly into new realities, once living many years as a caterpillar, stuck. And then I found a safe spot to transform. And within this chrysalis, I began to know my true self. This metamorphosis of me becoming queen, rebirthing out of a cocoon of light and love, I awoke as a butterfly high in the sky. Above all seeming troubles of the day, I am alive in this new place due to miraculous callings, now crowning others to walk in ancestry's footsteps, where we survive, we thrive, as we vision and manifest new ways to be soft yet powerful. With eyes lifted to imaginations, I hasten to my throne to deliver truths and wisdoms and fabrics of many colors to new soon-to-be queens in this now, this future day. I am because she was, because you are the one to continue this majesty. Lift up your chin in true regality, knowing the power you sense within is real and the time you sense is now, as you are the one to come to heal. You are the one we prayed for. O Queen of Queens, take your rightful place on the throne, that we might be healed by your heart, by your tone, by your art, by your music, by your rhythm, your rhyme, your poetry, by your touch, by your soul. I speak to the queens, and the queens answer, we come to heal the world.
Incredible.
Thank you. And this one also included in the anthology, which is kind of similar in underlying feeling, I would say. I am the instrument. I play within the rhythms of my own life, seeking a pathway of light and wonder and tiny pathways and cavernous entry points. I have no limits, no boundaries, except to love fully. So I improvise each new day, and I whisper, I sing, I drum, I dance. I am the instrument through which I play the melody of my life. I call upon the ancestors who whisper new songs within my spirit, and I don't hold back. I give it all I've got. I step in unencumbered, unabashedly, because the world is on fire and I am the water. The land is dry and I am the tears. The fear is growing and I've got the love. I am the instrument used by the Holy Presence, inspired to tune you in, to resonate within your heart, to vibrate within your soul, to reverberate within your mind, so you can remember your purpose. I am the rock, the truth, the light. I am called and I answer that call. I play in beliefs, in prophecies, in stories, so that even when your ears don't hear me, your heart does, your soul knows, your spirit set free, the griot. I am word, I am instrument. Thank you. Thank you so much. And this final one, I became water, not rock. If I had died before I woke, I wouldn't have known this river flowing and what this wondrous spirit can evoke, rising and falling through mountains of time and valleys of this life divine. I became water, not rock. Within this midsummer night's dream, I decided to live before I slept, so my doppelganger intertwined with me. And as we became one, I jumped over morning glories, rebounding in time, like counting sheep relaxes the body mind. I awakened rested from a long journey aligned. I became water, not rock. When I got in my lane, I flourished. I grew wings on my journey. I became water, not rock, and connected my being to being me, myself. And I'm laughing today and smiling this way as I reflect on where I've been and where I'm going. I'm not defined by works, yet I rise each day on purpose. For life comes and runs and creates and desires to be free within me, and I answer this call. Today is a new day, and I sit in now and I think of then, that exact moment of wondrous reflections and projections, bursting forth like sparklers lighting my sight, knowing this truth that has set me free. I chose life and became water, not rock.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I just, it's a healing hearing those poems. Our next poet is Elaine Brown. Elaine, she's also known as a Poet E. She does Poet E spoken. She's a freestyle poet. She's a history teacher and a co-host of Vent, an online literary empathy circle, and My Word Open Mic. Please give a warm welcome to Elaine Brown. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. I am just sitting here and I'm blown away. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Kim McMillon because of how I came to be in this book. It's a true story. So I'm humbled either way. So I get this email from Dr. McMillon. She says, yeah, I want you to, would you be willing to submit a poem into Black Fire Rain, this anthology that I'm doing? And I was just like blown away. I'm like, me? Wow, yeah, sure. Then I sent her my bio and she said, could you talk a little bit more about the prisoner pipeline? And it was just then that I understood. She thought that I was Elaine Brown, the Panther. And I said, wow, that is such an honor. So I was like, I must be on the right path, right? But anyway, I am going to read two poems. One that's in the book, Joshua's Tree, and the other from my book, Cried Out Laughing, which will be out later August. But to give a little background about Joshua's Tree, my second great grandfather was Joshua Halsey. I don't know if you all heard of him. He was a victim of the 1898 Wilmington Massacre, whose remains were found in November of 21. And so we in November of last year, we just had his funeral and everything like that. So that prompted me to finally complete my book and talk about the stories of the descendants as a result of the Wilmington Massacre of 1898. So here we go. This is Joshua's tree. Ever since the day that you claimed that our knuckles scraped ground and we walked on all fours, we were still upright. You see, amendments did not change nor legitimize legacies. So we broke bread like chains to tell our stories. Therefore, silence is foreign tongue. So all the trials, triumphs, and tribulations written in the blood of our ancestors were meant to be told. It is healing for a lost soul. You see, I myself had strayed far from this path, but voices from the past whispered wisdom. They said, Elaine, even systems deep rooted in oppression have vision. They'll spread the gospel of lies in history books like religion. And although unwritten, our voice has the power to transform and transcend generations when we lift them up. So teach them that 56% of the Black race represented Wilmington under the era of Reconstruction, did away with this two-party system and created fusion. Words like diversity and inclusion suddenly had a meaning in a port town that brought us over in slave ships, but we fought like hell to control our own interests, open our own businesses, while white supremacists saw this as an act of violence, stormed the local government, killed unarmed Black men, women, and children, and those who couldn't leave, hid in the Pine Cemetery where our ancestors dwell. And it was there that I heard them call, like the calling from the conch shell. See, I heard Grandpa Joshua. I heard Grandma Sally. I heard Grandma Betsy. I heard Grandma Juanita, Annie. I heard my daddy. I heard my brother Vernon. I heard my Aunt Elaine and Uncle Sonny, Uncle Earl. And I heard my mother Joan, still blessed to be alive, yell, tell our stories. Tell our stories. So this next piece right here, it's the last piece that I do in my book. Is called How Flowers Get Their Names. It's self-explanatory. Welcome to community gardens, complete with chain link fences and surveillance. A place where mothers still smell the blood of where their babies were slain, where murals have been defaced and replaced with signs of keep out. No one beyond this point, punishable by fines and or imprisonment, a place where movements have been reduced to signs on t-shirts that I can't afford to capitalize on, because you see Me Too and Black Lives, and look, taking a knee has become too damn expensive. A place where Indigenous and First Nation peoples have been murdered and uncovered. Well, this is not a shocking secret. This is a pandemic that you can't cover over. So you see, we're not talking roses because they're seasonal. We're not talking daisies because they're easy to uproot. And while a pocket full of posies have been associated with the deaths of the Josh Halseys, the Emmett Tills, the Ma'Khia Bryants, the George Floyds, the Sandra Blands, the Breonna Taylors, the Mike Browns, the Willie McCoys, the Indigenous and First Nation peoples, and the countless of victims whose names we will never know. But they also send a message of forget me not. Thank you all. Thank you so much for this honor. I am so humbled and blessed, and I'm just so excited for this. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part.
You were meant to be in this anthology. You are the right person for this anthology. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you. Our next poet is Thurman Watts. He's a founding member of the Nairobi Poets, and his work has appeared in the San Francisco Examiner. Please give a warm welcome to Thurman Watts. Thank you.
You need to unmute yourself, Thurman.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim, and Heather Buchanan as well. This is indeed a great honor and pleasure. I'd like to dedicate this to all the ancestors who came before us and our gloried progeny who deserve the promise of a future. This is a story I wrote entitled, excuse me, Mbombe's Glass. It was a time of extreme seasons. High priestess of soul, Nina Simone, was my rib of existence, even then until now. Her fervent anthems of counter-slave elevation accompanied me through my post-psychedelic COINTELPRO coincidences, however real or imagined. I was in Salem, Oregon again after flunking out a couple of years earlier at the university. I'd originally arrived on campus back in '68 at the apex of the Democratic National Convention. There were 12 of us at the time, 9 guys and 3 women out of a total student body of 1,500. Lessening the sting of being dark sojourners in a land of snowy winters, we called ourselves the Dirty Dozen, like the Jim Brown film of that era, and imbued our presence with brazen Bay Area and South Central cool. We wore black leather and Free Huey posters adorned our dorm room walls. My cool, however, left me bereft of survival skills like the history of Western Civ. The discourses of modifiers like Descartes and Voltaire all but bum rushed me back to the comforting solace of my dorm room where I wrote poetry, consumed Baraka, and hungered for the funk that was sure to come. I also smoked a lot of Portland pot, which wasn't very good. The one time I raised my hand in class to answer a question occurred in freshman English class. My peers were allegedly the scholarly cream of the Pacific Northwest. They seemed to exist in an academic realm wholly foreign to my mode of understanding. But on this day, the professor asked a question that perplexed the whole class, except me. Whose philosophy of nonviolence did Martin Luther King study and apply as a leader of the civil rights movement? Her question was met with blank stares by everyone except me. I raised my gravity-defying hand with all the strength I could muster. She called on me. Gandhi, I sang and proclaimed, rising above the cream. It was the loftiest perch of my university experience. After flunking out, I returned to the Bay and joined a group. We patterned ourselves after the last poets and called ourselves the Village Griots. We were gigging on the West Coast, and now 2 years later, had a date at the school where I'd been deemed academically unworthy. This is how we met Dr. Mbombe. Life is a hell of a drug. We stayed at Lumumba House while there. It was a rented house that offered solace to the Black population in and around campus. It was named after fallen freedom fighter Patrice Lumumba, the first legally elected prime minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Another hero that was killed or betrayed, like Gil sang in Winter in America. There, students could decompress from the rigors of minority academic life, and the young African-American locals could also comfortably socially mingle. The young locals were the offspring of Black migratory farm workers who followed the crops from Arizona to Oregon. There was a wino by the name of Leroy who hung around Lumumba House, enjoying the energy of the young folks there. One day, out of earshot of Leroy, a brother whispered to me, "That cat can eat glass." At the next opportunity, I asked Leroy about it. He shined me on, focusing instead on the feminine apparition in front of him. On our last night there, a small crowd assembled at the village griots, having earlier slain the university community at large with our performance, now gave a private, intimate reprise for, in fact, that Leroy, the elder, commandeered the scene as we finished. I said, in booming elocution, he said to one of the sisters, "Baby, would you bring me some salt and pepper from the kitchen? Seasonings procured." Suddenly he smashed the bulb on the seasoned shaman. He sprinkled the shards of glass with salt and pepper. To our astonishment, Leroy ingested the sharp pieces in between swills of his favorite beverage, Tingle Pink. He continued until then he looked at me and spoke, "Young blood, run your finger around my mouth and see if there's any glass left." I respectfully declined, already thoroughly convinced. "How do you do that?" I asked. He then told me the story. When I was a young man as a merchant marine, I became stranded in North Africa. I studied with a tribe of people who awakened the power of my mind. I was shown how to walk on hot coals and eat glass. All you have to do is believe. When I had a full set of teeth, I could eat soda pop bottles. When I came back to America, I worked in the circus as Dr. Umbombe, witch doctor from Africa. The village griots flew back to SFO the next morning. We stayed together as a group for about another year. We individually morphed into other pursuits, and as relationships sometimes famously do, broke up. We have remained in contact and sometimes reminisced about the Black arts movement or the art of being Black. For us, the beginning and the end remain one. We have also stayed in contact with the thread of African-American students that we came to know through our Salem experience. No one seems to know, though, what happened to Leroy. Recently, I took my 34-year-old son on a road trip up through Salem. He had asked me how I ended up going to school there for a season, and I thought the trip might provide the answer that I didn't readily have. Salem, though a tad more diverse, still only has about a 1.5% Black population. As my son Marley and I drove through the streets near the university, I was reminded how starved for soul music we were as students all those years ago. Even in the frosty snow of winter, we would go out to the student parking lot late at night when the radio signal from XERB near Tijuana was the strongest. It would reach even Salem with the legendary Wolfman Jack pumping the latest Dyke and the Blazers, the Flamingos, Sam, Mr. Soul Cook, or Mr. and Jackie Wilson. Yeah, we love the old Wolfman, baby. When we pulled up to the old Lumumba house, I was only half surprised to note that though the structure was still there, it was no longer designated in remembrance of Patrice. It was still student housing, but most traces of Africa had been removed. There was one left. Someone, not so very long ago, had scrawled in a square of replaced cement, "Mbombe lives." Thank you.
Thank you. Thurman, that's absolutely fascinating. A fascinating piece. Just beautiful. Our next poets are a mother and daughter team. Sajabu and her daughter, Dr. V.S. Chochasi. Sajabu is a writer, producer, prison rights activist, artist, Air Force veteran, and a UC Davis retiree. And she is just a wonderful mother and daughter team that are called Straight Out Scribes. Dr. V.S. Chochasi is a writer, poet, photojournalist, and college professor. V.S. earned a doctorate in education from Drexel University, and together they make up a wonderful team. I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Sajabu and her daughter, Dr. V.S. Chochasi.
I'm going to start a revolution.
I'm gonna start a revolution.
I'm going to start a revolution
I'm gonna start a revolution.
in my soul.
Gonna seize control of all I have within me.
Anything to make me whole
Or high,
or both.
I'm gonna start a revolution.
I'm going to start a revolution
I'm gonna start a revolution in
my soul. Greetings, my name is Stajabu.
I'm Dr. V.S. Chochezi.
We're a Sacramento mother-daughter poetry team.
With 8 books of poetry and 2 CDs.
People know us far and wide.
Because we like to share a positive vibe.
And we're now celebrating our 32nd year as
Straight
Out
Scribes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'd like to give thanks and praises to the Most High creative energy in the universe for bringing us together today. Thank you, Kim, Dr. Kim McMillon. Thank you to the San Francisco Library. And thanks to all the contributors that are here and who wanted to be here and could not. We open with what we call a weave, and we're going to do each a poem and another weave and each a poem and then a closeout. I just want people to know that my daughter, I'm so proud of her. She's a writer, poet, photojournalist, college professor. She earned her doctorate in education at Drexel University. And she is the amazing daughter of straight out scribes. So my first poem, is The Message. And this is in the book on page 248. When our enslaved ancestors were granted freedom with no money and no place to go, what message could be clearer? When Black people were refused education, jobs, housing, medication, or a seat on public transportation, what message could be clearer? With the shameful treatment of the Black and poor after Hurricane Katrina, what message could be clearer? With high unemployment and infant mortality rates, plus innocent people killed by police, what message could be clearer? When they cut back public assistance, dismantle affirmative action, reduce food stamps, and deny us reparations, what message could be clearer? When they bombed the Move family in Philly, killing 6 adults, 5 children, and burned down 61 homes on Osage Avenue, what message could be clearer? When Black communities are flooded with drugs and guns, causing all kinds of chaos, mayhem, self-annihilation, incarcerations, a profitable increase in prison populations, followed by amazing upscale gentrification, what message could be clearer? Rosewood, Florida, Birmingham, Alabama, Greenwood, Oklahoma, Soweto, South Africa, did they get the message? Amadou, Strange Fruit, Emmett Till, Bobby Hutton, Fred Hampton, Amadou Diallo, Trayvon Martin, Malcolm X, Dr. King, George Floyd. Get the message? The death penalty is legal lynching. Racism is still prevalent and unflinching. We must be diligent. We must be brave for our children and grandchildren. We got a planet to save. What message could be clearer?
Yes, thank you, Stajabu, my mama. Black Girls Bop. This is also from the anthology, Black Fire this time. Black Girls Bop for Shannon and her girls. Black girls hope, Black girls dream, Black girls cry, Black girls scream, Black girls laugh, Black girls play, Black girls dance, Black girls pray. Black girls think, Black girls do, Black girls matter, just like you. Black girls jump, Black girls run, Black girls achieve, Black girls have fun, Black girls read, Black girls write, Black girls work, Black girls fight, Black girls live, Black girls love, Black girls do just like you.
Mind check 1, 2.
Mind check 1, 2.
Mind check 1, 2.
Mind check 1, 2.
Mind check. This is a mind check. This is a mind check. Check out your mind.
Mind check. This is a mind check. This is a mind check. Check out your mind.
Mind check. This is a mind check. This is a mind check. Check out your mind.
Check it out now.
Have you seen your mind lately? And my next poem is The Tude. And for those of you who don't know the vernacular, when you have a tude, it means you got an attitude about something. I don't know about you, but I got a big attitude about my people being enslaved. I got an attitude about the lies that were told, the bill of goods we were sold, about us being inferior and them being superior. And I'm madder than a big dog about the rapes and lynchings they did, especially to a kid named Emmett Till. Yeah, I'm still mad about that. And Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, George and Jonathan Jackson, Bobby Hutton, the Move family. And nothing makes my jaws tight like when I remember the night they beat Rodney King. And another thing, they never apologized to us publicly, never made good for all the years we cried bitter tears for our lost children, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers they sold, or the gold they stole. My blood starts to rise when I realize we have yet to have our day in court. For the wrongs that were done to us, we ought to be able to make a good case about the injustices done to our Black race. We need to negotiate a settlement like in any other disagreement. I could represent myself. And when the jury is chosen, on it would be a dozen former slaves, great, 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 great grandchildren. I know we'd win without a doubt because even before the jury went out, once they checked out the evidence, they would surely sentence the defendants to 500 years of hard labor and restitution of $400 trillion in back pay, okay? Yeah, I'm running hot and I'm plenty vexed and I want some satisfaction. Now you can act like everything's cool and la-di-da and all that action, but from what I can see, and I ain't blind, their payments are running way behind. And I'll chill out with a smile on my face when those overdue payments pick up the pace. Until then, y'all need to give me plenty of space because I got a big attitude. Thank you.
Black is beautiful. And y'all look so beautiful. Black is beautiful is not a battle cry. It is not an attempt to diminish or overshadow other types of beauty. It is not a boast or used with an overabundance of pride to be interpreted as Black is the only beauty in the world, or even the source of all beauty, though that can't really be ruled out. Black is beautiful is not spoken in haste, a waste of breath, like stating the obvious, though perhaps it should be, since in fact Black is beautiful. And of course, Black is complex. So beautiful is not the only thing that Black is. Black is more than beautiful. Black is beautiful is a slogan to help those who have been taught openly or indirectly that Black is anything but beautiful. And if you are not Black, saying Black is beautiful does not negate your own beauty, to be perfectly and poetically clear. So when you hear Black is beautiful, you don't need to fear. Black is beautiful is not a battle cry. It is a slogan to be chanted and used to greet each other. Open your heart to it. Feel and believe it. Reinforce it. And let it sink in way deep to counteract the negative stereotypes, subjugation, microaggressions, drama, and pain that can too often accompany this skin we're in. Because in the end, the simple truth is Black is beautiful.
Uhuru sa 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 sa.
Ooh, sa 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 sa.
Uhuru sa 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 sa.
Ooh, sa 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 sa.
Pamoja tu descenda.
Together we will win.
Because the sight of you feeds my spirit.
And puts the mojo in my mouth.
Oh, let me inhale your power.
Let me bathe in your warm vibration.
Uhuru be our rap.
Liberation be our song.
Free up the land is what we demand.
Stay strong, my people, stay strong.
Uhuru, Uhuru.
Africa, Uhuru.
Uhuru Sasa, Uhuru Sasa.
Africa, Uhuru Sasa.
Uhuru means freedom.
Sasa means now.
Thank you, everybody.
Asante sana. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kim, Dr. McMillon.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. What a great team you two make. Thank you very, very much. Our next poet is Avacha. Avacha is a playwright, multi-percussionist, photographer, teacher. She's published in English and Spanish. You can hear her on K-Pool on Fridays, and also you can hear her on KPFA. Please give a warm welcome to Avacha.
Hey, you folks, man. Oh, wow. And put me after two of my best friends, Sachabu and my stolen daughter. Sachabu got the stretch marks and I get the baby. So anyway, not a baby anymore, but she's still beautiful. You know, I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank Dr. Kim McMillon and Heather for putting this thing together. It's really imperative, as someone said, I think it was Elaine talking about, we have to keep these ancestors alive. We have to tell the stories. And so that I want to dedicate this to all those ancestors who line the ocean's floor, who are sitting up underneath cotton fields and cane fields. You know, I want to thank Biddy Thomas and Al Young and Margaret Walker and Jane Cortez for helping me keep it going. And I want to thank each and every one of you. So I'm going to do two poems. And thanks again for inviting me to be part of this miraculous book. Because I do believe that the Black Arts movement started long before we got here. It came with us on slave ships and it still remains with us. And those ancestors gave us the fire to remember that we ain't always tired. This is called Still Paying the Price. It's come to my attention more times than a few that there's folks out there still out there embarrassed by me, waiting for me to act my age, to wise up and grow up, forget about feeding my soul on a diet of music and poetry instead of stuffing my psyche with envy and gold. Said they're waiting for me, praying for me to wake up and drop all that artsy-fartsy stuff they have the audacity to call immature nonsense. One half-drunk intellectual phony even told me my lifestyle could dishonor our mission of uplifting tradition, demanding I surrender to the blandness of their reality. Get up off my big artistic behind and find a little good old-fashioned upwardly mobile pride, pull my head in out of fantasy land and get myself a real job. Join the morning army of the nondescript, bliss out in some nameless cubicle and lose myself among the lost hordes of the respectably bored and the boring. But the gods chose to smile on me, drop the gift of song on me, and when the spirits speak to me, it always comes out poetry. And every wind that blows my way talks to me, begs me to keep on asking the same old question. How many ancestors had to lose their hands for me to be able to write this poem? Has the ambition to rise, blinded some of our eyes, and the quest for acceptability lodged like stones in our ears, leaving us deaf, making us forget. It was the unconquered power of our music and song that kept us keeping on, kept us strong through the lynchings and the burnings and the stonings. It was our creative fire, a creative torch that lit our desire to inspire. It was the blue rhythm in our gift, the gruesome dues behind the spiritual power in our songs all along the road to an always elusive goal called freedom. This is the gift that some would like to sit on the back burner, a blessing that some others would just love to ignore, forgetting those times when we were their all and there was nowhere else to go. They don't even know that they are what they're running from. How many hands were lost for us to earn the unasked for right, to become the backdrop for the unending pompous talkathons? Nothing more than court jesters relegated to ambiance, new age clowns on some modern day technologically hip plantation. Mindless entertainment for the literati who've obviously forgotten that the gift of intellect in the hands of an insecure fool can become a curse that clogs the mind and self-destructs and gets swallowed up, lost in the shallow hell of an inevitable but cruel retribution, a hell born of self-hate, a bitter, unhealthy dose of disrespect turned in on itself. And even though we're still ignored by some of our own, and I know we're never, ever, ever going to get anywhere near 40 acres and a mule, we've always got this gift. It's written all over every single one of the billions of cells in our bodies, this gift. A stubborn old hard-headed ancestors wish this gift, an undefeated dream, this gift paid for by hundreds of amputated hands and broken necks, bizarre decorations left hanging from too many trees, this gift, an omnipotent patient wish that refuses to die in his poet's eyes. And because some of us so-called artist types continuing to refuse to stick our heads in the convenient sands of selective amnesia, somewhere this evening, the ancestors are dancing, laughing and dancing and stirring it up, even in the stoic, too cool to groove hallways of academia, laughing, cause not even fear could stop us from writing, dancing, because I'm still asking, what was the cost? I said, can anybody out there tell me what was the cost? How many hands were lost in order for me to write this poem? This last one I want to do is called Soundly Metaphysical. Some people still believe the stereotype, in order to become a good artist, you must become a dope fiend or a drunk. I was dumb enough to believe that. And so for younger days, way back when, I believed it and became both a dope fiend and a drunk, but I've been sober and clean now 51 years. So some fool came up to me and said that the music that we were playing, I had to know what some good dope was. So this is my response to him, because I don't believe in violence. So I wrote this poem. It's called Soundly Metaphysical. Hopefully he got the message. My music. My music is an orgasmic synonym for all that is real, an organic vibrational healing, a sanctified tone poem. I deal in sound. Call me a metaphysician, a doctor of sound. Another addition on the ladder of tradition, another one of those trying to be spiritual music nuts, pushing 100% natural medicine, melodic medicine, non-toxic cures from B flat to high C. I say I got a music Jones that won't let go. It's a heavy gift, a Zora Neale Hurston, Jose Montoya word song, a gift to lift us, a healthy intoxicant is stronger than drugs, an ever-expanding ritual fix that's everywhere all the time. Music is the song that sings me, that flows through me, the song that is me. Music is the funk in the Joe Kubatoon, Duke Ellington's mistress, the bee that bites, and Betty Carter's bop, the blood in my veins. Poetic music is the air I breathe, the heart of every dream I dream. Sounds so strong I can see it. Can you hear it, feel it? I say, I gotta know if you ever even noticed it. Music's calling and calling, and caller's always talking, calling you calmly, inviting you as sensually as a caress, holding you warmly, hauntingly, desperately like a scream. Music is a unifier, the one sure thing that brings this world together, the only universal language. Music is a brazenly unrepentant flirt, comes speaking sweetly, teasing, swinging and talking, jiving every idiom that's ever been. A language so strong, even the deaf can taste it. Are you listening? I ask, are you listening? It's begging you to heal. music, and the music of the word is medicine. A poetic musician is a traditional healer. I'm a dealer. I say I'm a dealer, a metaphysician who deals in sound, medicinal sound. And it's the only how I'm pushing right now. So right now I feel a healing coming on. Anybody out there want some? Thanks for listening to my words. And thanks to all the ancestors who made it possible. Thanks for Dr. Kim McMillon and Helen, excuse me, not Helen, Heather, forgive me for mispronouncing your name, and each and every one of you. And I'm so honored to be part of this amazing, amazing thing. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all. We have one last poet, and you brought a bit of that old time religion into that. So thank you for that, Avacha. Our last poet is Dr. Catherine Takara. She's an Afrofuturist, eco poet, and the author of 9 books and scholarly articles. And she's also the owner and publisher of Pacific Raven Press since 2008. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Catherine Takara. Thank you. Catherine, do you have your sound muted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Right, thank you. Okay, I just want to thank everyone and say how inspired you have all made me feel. I am joyful. I just flew in from Hawaii, so that's where I live now. We don't have much time, so I'll jump right into, if we have time for 2, but I'll jump into 1, and it's called Tuskegee, where I was born and raised. Tuskegee, divine mirror of to-do attitudes. Black folk, hard work, rewards of success, diamond of a small southern town. Mined from dark slavery, sharecropping, miscegenation, and born in dreams. Students walked miles to arrive with one change of clothes and determination to labor, to learn, to prepare themselves and the race, to seek an education, help to build a school, a campus. Students made bricks one by one, cultivated the grounds, and built the Tuskegee Institute Chapel in 1898. Renowned, towering stained glass windows, precious colors, royal gems. A whole community witnessed the Great Midnight Fire, destruction of the Bellissimo Cathedral Chapel in 1957. Flames seen from my house 2.5 miles away. A whole community knew fear, understood endings, listened to rumors of Ku Klux Klan violence, remembered burning crosses, vulnerable churches. Tuskegee, people watch the recurring tragedies of race, so connected yet disconnected by color and class and unknown quilted histories, whispered in closets, behind doors, in bedrooms. Trepidations of whites dominated the unspoken discourse, fears of educated, uppity, articulate niggas who sang Jubilee songs and spirituals, traveled and got degrees. Blacks thrived, got jobs, created jobs, researched and learned Black history, understood the value of Black pride and self-help. Chief Anderson, light-skinned and confident, taught the Tuskegee Airmen at Moulton Field, took up Eleanor Roosevelt in his plane. She dared to fly with a Black man. My dad, Bill Waddell, walnut brown and handsome, came to Tuskegee to work on peanut oil therapy with George Washington Carver, to research a liniment for those paralyzed by polio, like President Roosevelt, who reluctantly visited the campus with his wife. My mom, Lottie, proud, smart as a whip, fabulously stylish from a well-to-do family who owned land and had servants, descended from generations of teachers. She taught languages, French and German, Even after marriage, when women were expected to stay home, she kept her job. I see so many mind pictures, family resemblances, processes evolving. Tuskegee, Tuskegee, prototype of hard work and determination. So much history, open and hidden.
It's beautiful. I'm afraid we were, the crew says we can't, we're not supposed to go on past 3 o'clock. And so I apologize because I would love to hear more poetry by you. And Anissa and Ishana and John, we want to really thank you. And we usually like to open it up for the audience. Is it okay if we open it up, even if
we do have time for another 15 minutes or so, if you want to open things
we
up for the
actually,
audience?
yes. I thought we had to quit. Okay, well, I would love to open up, and I love when we interact with our audiences. And Dr. Takara, you were absolutely beautiful. If we have 15 minutes, if you do have a short poem, I would love to hear it then.
From the book,
anything you would like. I adore your poetry as much as I adore you. Whatever you'd like to hear.
I'll read from the book, the one poem, Stolen Jewels, because it seems to go with everything that everyone has been saying.
All right.
Who stole the jewels from Africa? They missed the essence of what they took. Chasms of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. For in Africa, sharing was like sunlight, abundant as sky is blue. Gold was for beauty and celebration of the people, adorning everyone's body. Rubies and pearl dust, a brotherhood, sisterhood. Sapphire skies, amethyst halos of consciousness, emerald clusters of community, abundant in ebony and copper drum rhythms, presence in opal harmony like planets to sun. Who stole the jewels from Africa? They missed the essence of what they took. There were no banks, no uniformed law and order of separate we's and they's. And those who introduced and perpetuated we, they abounded like hailstones, collected stolen jewels for elite and noble kings and queens, popes and churches of civilized lands, in an imaginated devotion to those who sat pretentiously, puppets of pride on paper mache thrones. Who stole the jewels from Africa? They missed the essence of what they took. Who stole the jewels from the people and gave them mirages of generosity, imitation jewels, turned holy expectation of honesty and a dingy imagination, and gaudy hopes of betrayed receivers watched as drabness settled in like drearsome fog. Who? Did you say who it was that with graceless wishes from lecherous fantasy, who it was that turned purity of being into ego safety deposit boxes of threatened, stolen jewels? Who stole the jewels from Africa? Whoever it was, you missed the point. Thank you so much for having me, letting me share a bit.
That was beautiful. Every single one of these poets saying to our audience and each of you are gifts, gifts to the planet and gifts to us. Just honored that you all showed up. Before we start talking with the audience and just hearing what they have to say, our publisher, Heather Buchanan, would like to say a couple of words. Thank you. Heather, is your mic on?
Sorry about that. Yes, now it's on.
That's fine.
Everyone, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you, Kim, of course. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to mention that we have a newsletter going out, and we'd love for you to sign up. We put it in the chat, and we'll ask the library to post it as well, because we'll keep you notified of our future readings as well as some live shows. So we just want to tell you that some live shows are coming. For some people, this is going to be a 40, 50-year reunion. So stay tuned. Thank you all.
Thank you. And I wanted to also mention that I just really adore Shauna, John, and Anissa. The whole crew is just spectacular. And we do have a live show coming up with them on September 24th. And I believe that Michael War will be the host. And I think you're all going to really enjoy it. So now, if you'd like to, if there's anything that you would like to share with us about coming to the reading or your own experiences with African American literature, please do. We're open to hearing what our audience has to say, as well as what the authors have to say too. So let's open and see what you have to say. Anyone? Okay, go ahead.
He put his hand down, but his hand was up there for a minute, so.
Okay. Well, how about if we, there's a couple of things. If Lakeba is still on the line, she mentions that she's a compassionate ambassador. And so I wanted to find out from her, what does that entail you're doing? Because I think that's a beautiful title to have.
Well, I studied at Stanford Center for Compassion. But beyond that, it's really about not ignoring the suffering that is right before our eyes and having a desire, a heart moistened that directs us to want to do something about the suffering. So in truth, Indigenous people have always cared about other people in their communities. So I would say in the US, we're not really socialized to so much care for other people. So it's the training that I do, the workshops, the sessions, is really to reacquaint you with your heart and reacquaint you with the possibility of a moistened heart, which would then enable you to care about what you see and what's right before you. And a lot of the poetry that I heard today reflects some eyes and hearts that have been closed to the suffering and the need to reawaken those, what I think are innate aspects of the heart and soul.
Wow, beautiful, thank you. You know, I saw Malcolm Margolin. He started Heyday Books, and Malcolm, I'd love you to say hi, because you're one of the beautiful giants I consider in our independent publishing that really had made a difference, particularly for California writers. You want to say hi, Malcolm? And let us know what you're doing? If you want to, you have to turn your sound on. Okay. Hi, Malcolm.
How are you?
Oh, it's so nice seeing you. How are you doing?
I'm trying. Trouble speaking. So because of Parkinson's, and
it's just beautiful seeing you, Malcolm. I'm just glad that you exist and that you did so much for authors like myself and so many others who you made a difference with your press. It really helped the community.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're marvelous. You're absolutely marvelous. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, and if there's any other people that we haven't seen or are part of the community.
Yeah, yes.
Bye, Malcolm.
Bye.
Hi,
Go ahead.
I'm Andrea Bagwell in Washington, D.C. And it's such a great pleasure to hear all the poetry and storytelling from today. And my daughter, who's a college student here, is working with her professor, and they're doing a symposium, and they're going to be ordering books for the participants. I'm going to recommend to my daughter that this book is one that's purchased and given to the students. So I'll follow up with you, Dr. McMillon, about how to make that happen. But they've been planning since the spring, and this is just the kind of thing that's just so good and heartwarming, and like you said, that our folk need to know about, young and old and just everybody. So I'm going to be recommending to my daughter that she put this book forward. So it's beautiful.
Thank you. The publisher's on the line. Just put your name out there, or a contact, and I can say we can do it. We can give you a deal.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate the community, and we appreciate having support within that community. Thank you. Raymond, did you have something to say? I saw you kind of say something. If you wanted to say something, it's now or never. I think we have about 4 or 5 minutes. Raymond? If Raymond, I also saw Vacha. Come on, go ahead.
I just wrote what I had in the chat. I thought Lakeba's, what do you call it? Moistened Hearts is such a beautiful image. Yes. And so, you know, I don't have anything other than that. I speak a lot, so I don't want to, you know, and also oftentimes males tend to end up getting a lot of airtime. But what I will say in my conclusion is that I thought it was just a very incredibly beautiful gathering of very diverse voices from various regions and areas and so forth. And once again, you know, I sound like a broken record, but I can't give enough praise to Dr. Kim McMillon, because, you know, you've been doing this for a very, 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 very long time. And so it's not new for you. And I just hope that you continue to do it and that you get the support and infrastructure and everything that that's needed to carry it on. And I want to extend my appreciation to Heather and the library team. So y'all was fabulous. I'm a little pissed at Avacha. She didn't do Poppy Was a Dancing Man. She knows that's my piece. But we'll deal with that in another context. And it was great to see D Major.
Yeah.
Is it possible to say something real quick?
Sure, go ahead, Avacha.
I think that one of the greatest crimes that's happened in our journey has been that they convinced us to uplift ourselves out of ourselves. So we threw away the baby with the bathwater. I grew up in Shooting Cut, New York. When I finally got to, Al Young used to tease me and say that I was the only Black person he knew. Every other Black person was trying to get out of Mississippi. I was trying to get there because I love the blues. I love gut bucket blues. I'm not talking about the city blues. I like the Mississippi style gut bucket storytelling blues. And what I saw there was the same kind of thing, that thing that we've thrown away. When I grew up in Shooting Cut, New York, everybody on that block was your mama and your daddy. I didn't have a spanking for my mother or my father. I had spankings for everybody else on the block.
Oh my goodness.
You could not breathe without somebody taking care of you or making sure. I had to talk to everybody on that block. Because if I didn't, Poppy had periscopic vision, and he would know by the time I got home, I didn't speak to Mr. Garcia or Mrs. Jones, and I would be punished for that. We threw away the good stuff with the bad stuff. Instead of just throwing away the bad stuff, we're intelligent people. Intelligent people don't do those things. Intelligent people give up themselves. That is, excuse my language, the biggest bunch of bullshit they handed us. Intelligent people take care of each other. Somebody mentioned the Native Americans taking care of each other. We did as well. And we need to get back to that. Don't throw it away.
And I agree with you. And I think programs of this nature and having a library like the San Francisco Public Library that truly does support the arts community, you feel the support, and it's very obvious. And with those statements, if anyone wants to say something else, please do. Otherwise, I'm handing over the mic to the library with much gratitude for their kindness and their support of us.
I have to say that, Kim, we don't praise you enough. I know that's not why you do this, but I think we need to celebrate, because without curators like you, the art may not continue forward. So I say thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you for your encouragement. I am always humbled and motivated by any experience or time that I spend with you. So I just want to say publicly thank you, and I absolutely adore you.
Oh my goodness. See, I promised myself I wouldn't cry. I cry too easily. Just the kindness that is shown to me. I do this. A friend told me she was frustrated that her art wasn't getting to that point of fame. And I said to her, we do art, we do poetry with love. If you get fame, wonderful. But if you can breathe at night, because that creative force is within you, and it's just coming out to the world, to yourself, and it's a healing force, that is even better than fame could ever be. But that is just my opinion. Did you have something you wanted to say, Margot?
I did. I also wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I also know that I speak for so many of us when I say that it is going to be so wonderful to have Black Fire This Time Volume 2. So we thank you for this ongoing work, because I hear tell, right, that there's a Volume 2. So thank you, Kim, so much. And thank you, Heather.
And thank Heather for her vision too. So without further ado, we're turning over the mics to the San Francisco Public Library, and we thank you for your kindness and your support of what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. That was one of the highlights of the year. Just an astonishing program, really an astonishing book. We hope to see you again. Have a wonderful day and summer.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Be safe.
Yes, be safe.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Spread the beauty.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Peace.